Unsurprisingly, the Taliban is quickly gaining ground in Afghanistan. The militant group took control of three more Afghan provincial capitals as the U.S. nears complete withdrawal of combat troops from that country. One of the latest sea cities was Kunduz, with a population of over 400,000 people. Afghan security forces reportedly lost control of key government buildings and a prison that was housing Taliban fighters. Catch and release. Caught in the fighting between Afghan security forces and Taliban insurgents, ordinary Afghan people are paying a terrible price. What's the international community going to do? What's the U.S. going to do? Is anyone going to do anything, really? Here to discuss, senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Bill Roggio. Bill, appreciate you being with us. What's the situation as it stands right now?
Thanks, Buck. It's a pleasure to join you. Unfortunately, the situation in Afghanistan is very grim. The Taliban took control of 6 provincial capitals from Friday up until today, 3 of them on one day, on Saturday. And one of them, as you mentioned, Kunduz. This is a major city. It's a strategic city. It's a hub for commerce. It's basically, you could probably consider Kunduz city the capital of the north. The Taliban now has control of a band of provinces in northern Afghanistan. And these provinces are key to to significant Afghan power brokers, the members of the government, members of the military. This is where many of them derive their power. And with these capitals and these provinces under control of the Taliban, these officials, their ability to fight the Taliban, to recruit for the army, to counter Taliban movements elsewhere, has been significantly degraded. And it's putting capitals now like Herat and Farah City under direct Taliban threat. Herat in the western, it's Afghanistan's second largest city, is the Taliban are at the gates of Herat right now. And there is very little the Afghan government can do to support Afghan forces in this city, other than fly them in and arm Ismail Khan's militia. He seems to be the only man in Afghanistan that has figured out how to effectively fight the Taliban. But out on an island, it's difficult to say how long even he can.
Yeah, what is the plan here for the Afghan national government, which is allied still with the United States, right? There must be some game plan that they think is going to be able to at least stop and maybe begin to roll back. Although it feels like right now the best they can hope for is stalemate, Bill. I mean, is there some countermeasure, counterstrike that we should be anticipating here, or is this just the central government digging in and hoping to stop the bleeding?
Yeah, if the Afghan government has a plan, I'm not seeing it. What they have done is basically bury their head in the sand. They haven't admitted that these 6 capitals and 3 provinces went under full Taliban control over the weekend. They've been putting out the rosy statements. The only thing that I've seen them done that has somewhat marginal effects is arming the militias. They seem to be putting a lot of emphasis on rearming militias, and in some ways that's a good thing. In the case of like Herat City, that might prevent the city from falling under Taliban control. It still remains to be seen. But in many cases, these same warlords that are being rearmed helped the Taliban achieve its rise to power in the 1990s. Because often these militias start acting capriciously with the local populations. The Afghan government, if to be honest, because I advised individuals within the government, Afghan officials, that they needed to consolidate their positions even before the U.S. left, because the situation was very clear to me that it was precarious, that the Taliban was advancing, that it had combat strength, and that it was committed to continuing the fight. Unfortunately, the U.S. government and the Afghan government and the international community put all their hopes in a peace deal that was never going to happen. And now I think all the Afghan government is clinging to is that the U.S. will re-engage. The U.S. military is now launching upwards of 5 airstrikes a day in Afghanistan, but it hasn't stopped them from overrunning a single at this moment.
What was because this was under the Trump administration, right? There was the Doha peace deal that was struck with the Taliban. What were the parameters of that, the purpose of it? And I assume it's safe to say that attacking provincial capitals is a pretty clear violation of whatever that agreement was. So what was that supposed to do, and where does the peace deal stand now, technically?
Yeah, well, ironically, Buck, that peace deal, I've signed a car loan and car purchase agreements that were far longer. It's only 3.5 pages. I'm sorry, 3 1/3 pages. There's nothing in there. U.S. officials constantly complained that the Taliban wouldn't reduce violence, that it was attacking in capitals, but none of that was in the agreement. The agreement, the entire purpose from the Taliban side was to get the U.S. to withdraw. The only thing the Taliban agreed to was to not let foreign terror groups operate on their soil to conduct attacks against the West or Western partners. The Taliban clearly has violated that. That's a news segment in itself. And then the other thing it agreed to do was negotiate with the Afghan civil society, not just the government. But it never had that. There was never any outcomes in this agreement. So the Taliban, it participated in this agreement to get the U.S. to withdraw. What the Trump administration wanted was is almost exactly the same thing as what the Nixon administration wanted, which was a decent withdrawal. Decent interval for the U.S. withdrawal. So that means the U.S. would leave. There would be a period where things would be okay. And then if Afghanistan collapses, it collapses. And, we tried, but there was some time in between. So the finger can't be pointed directly at me. Well, I think we're seeing that there is no decent interval to be had. The U.S. officials including President Biden, who committed to this withdrawal, they're going to own this one. The collapse of Afghanistan is happening in real time. It's happened in the time frame of when President Biden announced this withdrawal.